You know the story. Every Christmas season you've watched it. Maybe it was the 1966 Chuck Jones animation, with Boris Karloff's voice rumbling over those iconic illustrations. The Grinch, green and fuzzy, scheming in his cave while his dog Max suffers through another terrible idea. You remember the song, "You're a mean one, Mr. Grinch. You really are a heel." It was funny. It was catchy. It was safe. Or maybe you grew up with Jim Carrey's 2000 version, where the Grinch was given a tragic backstory. He was bullied as a child. His heart was too small because the Whos were cruel. By the end, you felt sorry for him. You understood him. He wasn't a villain, just misunderstood. And then there's the 2018 Illumination version, where the Grinch is barely even mean. He's an introvert with social anxiety who prefers staying home. He has a comfortable cave with modern appliances, a cute dog, elaborate contraptions for his schemes. When he steals Christmas, it feels less like malice and more like an elaborate prank. By the end, he's invited to dinner and everyone's happy. He's relatable. He's marketable. He's on your coffee mug. This is the Grinch you know. The lovable grouch who learns that Christmas means more than presents. The redeemed outsider who joins the community feast. The reminder that everyone deserves acceptance and love. It's a beautiful story. It's also a complete lie. The pattern you weren't supposed to notice. Here's what nobody tells you. Every element of the Grinch's story, from his mountain cave to his hatred of celebration to his theft of holiday goods, comes directly from European Christmas demons that terrorized communities for centuries. And I don't mean vaguely inspired by. I mean structurally identical to. The Grinch isn't Dr. Seuss's invention. He's a composite of folklore figures so dark that modern culture has systematically erased them from memory. Watch what happens when you place the Grinch next to his ancestors. Krampus, the mountain demon. In the alpine regions of Austria, Germany, and surrounding areas, December 5th isn't a day of anticipation. It's Krampusnacht, Krampus night, when a half-goat, half-demon creature descends from the mountains to punish naughty children. Picture a village in the 1890s Bavaria. Snow covers the cobblestones. Families huddle inside, fires burning. The children have been warned all year. Work hard, behave, or Krampus will come. As darkness falls, they hear it. Chains rattling, heavy bells clanging. Through the streets comes a figure covered in matted black fur, horns curling from his head, a long red tongue hanging from fanged jaws. He carries birch branches to beat the children, and on his back, a large wicker basket. The folklore is explicit. Krampus stuffs the worst children into that basket and drags them back to his mountain lair. Some versions say he takes them to hell. Others say he drowns them. Others say they're never seen again. The point is the same. Judgment is real. Consequences are permanent. And the creature who enforces this lives alone on the mountain, watching the village below. Now think about the Grinch. A creature who lives alone on a mountain, who watches the town below with contempt, who descends on Christmas Eve, who carries a large sack, who takes away everything associated with the holiday. This isn't coincidence. This is the same archetype, stripped of its explicitly demonic elements. Krampus was believed to be the son of Hel, the Norse goddess of the underworld. He represented winter's judgment, the harsh consequences that come when the sun dies and the world turns cold. Dr. Seuss's parents were German immigrants. He would have known these stories, but he was writing for 1950s suburban America, which needed its demons sanitized, redeemable, ultimately harmless. So Krampus got green fur instead of black. He got a heart that could grow 3 sizes. He got a redemption arc. The demon who dragged children to hell became a grouch who learned to love Christmas. But the structure remained. the outsider on the mountain, judging the community, descending to punish, carrying a sack. The Kallikantzaroi, the Christmas spoilers. But the Grinch doesn't just channel Krampus. He's pulling from something older and stranger. In Greek, Balkan and Turkish folklore, the 12 days between Christmas and Epiphany belong to the Kallikantzaroi. They're described as small, dark, hairy creatures with animal features. Goat legs, boar tusks, long tails. They're blind or nearly so. They speak with lisps. And they spend most of the year underground, soaring at the world tree, the cosmic axis that holds reality together, trying to bring it all crashing down. But every year, just as they're about to succeed, Christmas arrives. The tree isn't fallen yet, so they abandon their work and surge to the surface for 12 days of chaos. They don't murder, they corrupt. They enter homes through chimneys, through cracks in walls, through keyholes. They steal food, especially Christmas treats. They ruin holiday preparations. They extinguish fires. They spoil meat. They sour milk. They break furniture. Everything associated with celebration, they destroy. Greek families in rural villages would take elaborate precautions. Keep fires burning all 12 days to block the chimney. Hang a pig's jawbone over the door. Paint black crosses on the threshold. Leave out colanders, because the Kallikantzaroi would become obsessed with counting the holes. 1, 2, 1, 2. Never making it past 2 before losing count and starting over. If this sounds familiar, it should. The Grinch doesn't destroy Whoville. He doesn't kill anyone. He takes the trappings of Christmas, the food, the decorations, the presents. He enters through chimneys while families sleep. He strips away everything associated with the holiday to see what remains underneath. This is the key that everyone misses. The Grinch's test isn't physical, it's existential. He's asking the same question the Kallikantzaroi asked. If I take away all your stuff, does Christmas still exist? Is your celebration real or just performance? On January 6th, Epiphany, Greek priests would go through every house blessing it with holy water dipped in basil. The Kallikantzaroi would flee back underground, only to discover the world tree had healed during their absence. They'd have to start soaring all over again. The cycle was eternal. Darkness returned every year, was defeated, but never destroyed. But American culture couldn't accept an eternal cycle of darkness. So the Grinch's redemption is permanent. He carves the roast beast. He joins the feast. The demon is integrated into the community. The cycle is broken. It's a fundamental betrayal of the folklore structure. Frau Perchta, the belly slitter. And now we arrive at the figure they really don't want you to know about. Frau Perchta. In Alpine folklore, she's known by many names. Perchta, Percht, the Christmas witch, the belly slitter. She was a goddess once, before Christianity came to the mountains. Her name means the bright one. She was the protector of women and children, the guardian of spinning and weaving, the guide who led souls to the afterlife. She blessed homes that maintained proper order. Then the church arrived and couldn't tolerate a pagan goddess receiving worship. So they did what they always did. They demonized her. In her transformed state, Frau Perchta became a moral enforcer who walked through villages during the 12 days of Christmas, inspecting homes. She checked whether women had spun their allotted flax and wool for the year, whether children had worked hard, whether families had maintained proper order. If they had, she left a silver coin in a shoe or bucket. If they hadn't, she would slit their bellies open with the long knife she kept hidden in her skirts, remove their organs, and stuff the cavity with straw and rocks. This wasn't metaphorical. Parents in Bavaria and Austria told their children this would literally happen. The terror was behavioral control. Work hard or Frau Perchta will gut you and fill you with straw. Now, look at the Grinch one more time. He descends on Whoville and judges them. He finds their celebration wanting, too materialistic, too focused on presents, missing the deeper meaning. So he punishes them by taking everything away. Like Perchta checking if the spinning was done, the Grinch tests whether the Whos understand what Christmas truly means. The structural function is identical. An outside judge who arrives during Christmas to test the community's moral worthiness. The only difference is consequences. Perchta disembowels and stuffs with straw. The Grinch just takes your presents and brings them back with an apology the next morning. The systematic erasure. So let's trace how we got from belly-slitting demons to a character on coffee mugs. Dr. Seuss's original 1957 book is the first sanitization. The Grinch is still genuinely hateful, still mysterious, still frightening. There's no explanation for why he is the way he is. Like the folklore demons, he just exists. The illustration style is harsh, angular. His fingers are unnaturally long. His smile is disturbing. The text is sparse and cold. But he gets a redemption arc that Krampus, the Kallikantzaroi, and Frau Perchta never had. His heart grows, and he joins the feast. The 1966 Chuck Jones animation is the second sanitization. The Grinch becomes more expressive, more sympathetic. His face is rounder, his movements more comedic. The song, "You're a Mean One, Mr. Grinch," turns his darkness into entertainment, something to be sung about with jazzy energy. It's Krampus as a musical number. The horror becomes camp, but there's still menace in his smile, still genuine threat when he stands on Mount Crumpet, watching the town below. You can still see the demon underneath. The 2000 Jim Carrey version commits what I'd call the cardinal sin. It gives the demon a psychology. He was bullied as a child. He's traumatized by exclusion. His hatred is explicable, which means it's fixable. This is a complete betrayal of the folklore function. Demons don't have origin stories. The Kallikantzaroi weren't created by childhood trauma. Frau Perchta wasn't mean because someone hurt her feelings. They existed because darkness exists, because winter kills, because moral order requires enforcement. By making the Grinch's hatred understandable and curable, we transform him from mythic force to victim. The solution becomes therapeutic rather than moral. The Whos don't need to prove their faith is genuine. They just need to be nice to the lonely guy and invite him to their party. And then 2018 arrives, and the transformation is complete. The Illumination Grinch isn't even lonely anymore. He's an introvert with hobbies. He has a comfortable cave, elaborate gadgets, a pet reindeer that's basically a dog. He's not isolated by cosmic forces or divine judgment. He just prefers staying home. He's every millennial who doesn't like office Christmas parties. His theft of Christmas becomes a Rube Goldberg prank, complete with slapstick and sight gags. There's no menace, no judgment, no echo of the demons who enforced moral order through fear. He's been completely domesticated. You can buy Grinch pajamas, Grinch ornaments, Grinch everything. Imagine Frau Perchta pajamas with her disemboweling knife printed cheerfully on the chest. Imagine Krampus, plush toys for toddlers. The absurdity reveals how far we've traveled from the original darkness. What we lose. Here's what makes this erasure genuinely dangerous. We've lost the capacity to understand why these figures existed in the first place. European Christmas traditions maintained dark figures for centuries because they understood something we've deliberately forgotten. Light requires darkness to have meaning. Joy requires the possibility of judgment. Celebration requires acknowledging that winter can kill, and moral order isn't automatic. Krampus enforced behavior through fear. The Kallikantzaroi tested whether faith was real or performance. Frau Perchta reminded communities that laziness and moral failure had permanent consequences. These weren't just scary stories. They were social technology, mechanisms for maintaining order when legal systems were weak and survival was uncertain. The brutality was the point. The permanence was the point. Not every story needed redemption. Some forces were eternal, returning every winter, always defeated, but never destroyed, because the cycle itself mattered. By transforming the Grinch into a redeemable victim, we've lost the vocabulary for discussing genuine moral accountability. If every villain is just misunderstood, if every problem stems from trauma that can be healed with acceptance, then we can't acknowledge that some darkness is intrinsic, that some isolation comes from fundamental otherness, that some boundaries are necessary. This is dangerous cultural amnesia. We've forgotten that fear serves functions, that not everyone can be integrated, that winter is genuinely dangerous and judgment is genuinely necessary. The truth under the fairy dust. So the next time you watch How the Grinch Stole Christmas, I want you to see through the green fur. See Krampus in his mountain lair, chains rattling, basket ready. See the Kallikantzaroi emerging from underground to test whether Christmas is real. See Frau Perchta walking through the darkness with her knife hidden in her skirts. The Grinch is a palimpsest. Layers of meaning written over each other. At the bottom, genuine alpine demons who enforced moral order through terror. Above that, Seuss's 1957 version, where the demon is domesticated but still present. Above that, adaptations where the demon becomes a victim, the threat becomes a misunderstanding, the entire story becomes about acceptance rather than judgment. Each layer buries the previous truth under fairy dust. And with each burial, we lose something essential about facing genuine darkness, maintaining moral order, acknowledging that some forces are eternal and some boundaries are necessary. The demons are still there. In alpine villages, young men still dress as Krampus, running through streets in elaborate costumes, bells clanging, creating genuine fear. In Greek islands, families still protect against the Kallikantzaroi, keeping fires burning through the 12 days. The folklore survives because it served a real function. But in America, we've turned them into a lovable curmudgeon who learns to love Christmas. We've covered the demons in green fur and fairy dust and told ourselves they were never real in the first place. They were, they are. And the Grinch's heart doesn't grow because love conquers all. It grows because we're terrified of the alternative, that some darkness is permanent, that some isolation is chosen, that some judgment is deserved, and that winter doesn't care about our feelings. That's the secret buried under 60 years of adaptations. The old gods don't die. They just get repackaged. And the ancient demons of winter are still with us, watching from mountain caves, waiting for us to remember what we've forgotten.